Hey guys, welcome back to the Little Legends podcast. I am your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Boop. Hey man.
Hey, how's it going?
I went into the High Noon podcast just having done it 200 times, and I'm like, oh wait, this isn't supposed to be the same show. Uh,
Hey, always here with Boop. Hey,
hey,
how's it
hey man,
going?
hey man.
Hey, it's going good, my friend. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. How about yourself?
I'm
How's your respiratory system?
Oh, it's much better than it was, and you know what? With G Fuel, anything's possible. So we're
Hashtag
going to
sponsor us, please.
yeah, please G Fuel, give us your money. We will take it. But yeah, no. So everything feels great. I mean, we'll talk about why I'm both very excited and also had that excitement ripped immediately away from me.
Mm.
Almost immediately. I sat on it for a good day, just staring at the screen. But before we get into that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Guys, on last Friday, we did our second TFTF, that is Team Fight Tactics Friday game night in the Little Legends Podcast Discord server. So make sure that you are join the conversation, join the community over at discord.me/Little Legends Podcast. We got the conversation keeps going. I thought it was just going to be a little splash in the bucket, maybe just a couple people here and there, maybe just me posting things over and over again. But we got people talking, we got people posting winning comps, which is always fun.
Actual conversations are always good, Blev. That's
Yeah,
that's a positive of any community when people are talking.
yeah. Actually having people chatting and asking questions and talking is really great stuff.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. It's a super cool community, and the people that we've been playing with have been super fun. They're down to troll, which is all
Yes,
which is all really really
yes,
good. That's why I
yes.
love them so.
It's so good. We definitely got some fun people in there, and the more the merrier, guys. I mean, obviously we'd like to have 8 people for at least 8 people for game night. Then we can play in our own game. We can play some troll games. We can do whatever. But if we have more, we can break it down into more groups. So there is that. Thank you to those of you who have left ratings on iTunes as well. We got a couple more 5-star ratings in. If you are listening on iTunes or whatever podcast platform, please do leave a rating and leave a review too. We'll read it on the show as long as it's age appropriate, I guess. Keep it PG-13. Not explicitly said that, but keep it PG-13. Some hashtag Twitch TOS. And also, all the normal stuff. Follow us on YouTube and all that good stuff. And Twitch, we do stream the show live, which is where we are right now. We're at twitch.tv/the Blevins. And it's September. Just saying, you can get some fancy purple lettering in the Discord community for half price with September. But enough shameless plugging here. Let's talk about our week in TFT. Boop. You wanna go over your journey?
It was quite the journey, man, full of ups and downs. And I might be sounding like a repeating record here, but this is what my life in this game is. So I had a day where I woke up and I was like close to plat 3 again, and I was like, I'm gonna grind my ass off, right? I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna join Blev in the upper echelons of plat. And then I dropped to gold
Oh no.
on the team fight tactics Fridays. And then he was like, "Okay." I was like, I still want to grind. I want to play ranked. I want to get up to plat. This is unacceptable. I can't be here. And everyone was like, "Hey, you want to do that? Are you like tilting?" And I was like, "No, I think I'm good. I just got second in this other game. I think I'm fine." And then by the end of the night, I was gold 2.
Oh no.
Yep. And then the next day, I was like, okay, I gotta like really hunker down and focus here. Like, no playing around. I know I'm better than this. Let me get up there. And then it took me a while just to get the points. But from then on, I don't think I hit below 4th on the next like 6 or 7 games. And
Oh
then
wow.
I got up to plat like the next day or
Nice.
2 days later after some time. But man, that was a roller coaster of a week. At one point, I was like, "Am I just bad? Am I?" I mean, plat and chat still for sure, but like,
I feel like
I just
plat chat in this game is actually pretty powerful. At least at this point, I feel like plat Plat's kind of like our definer here. No, I mean there's plenty of
It's the
challenger and
line, right?
grandmaster.
And I wonder why we both selected Platt, by the way. But
I
anyway,
mean, I think if you're plat or above, you're basically a pro player, and if you're below, then you're an aspiring pro player.
yeah, it's all about how you frame your mind. But that's how it was. Not a lot of wins. I only ended up winning once or twice, but I've been getting a ton of second places over the last week. But we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll go back to gold at some point. I'm sure I'll go up to plat 1 at some point. Diamond seems very far away from me right now, though.
Yeah, I did scrape the illustrious diamond. I was there, if only for a brief moment. I just had one of those days where I was playing and I kind of went like back and forth a bunch of times. I was at Plat 169 LP. Nice.
Hey.
And I was like, I don't want to play because this is just the perfect rank. I should just never play again. And I'm like, I'm just going to play. And I just had like a day of like, I got a 6th place, then I got a 3rd place, then I got a 4th place, then I got a 5th place, then I got like 2 4th place. So like I was just like a roller coaster for ants, if you will, just like wee, just like up and down, up and down.
Like when you find out your local carnival.
Yes, and that I have been too big to go on since I was about 6 years old. One of those, I was on one, and just like you don't feel bad necessarily at that because like I'm at a good spot. I'm finding a like decent groove, but like. You get a 6th place, and then you make it up with a 4th place. You're still down a couple of points, or even if you get like a 3rd place in there, you're still down, or like maybe up a few. So it's like, man, it's gonna be forever before I get it. Then I got like a 7. I don't think I got any 8th places because I would have been I remember specifically not being utterly devastated, but I got to the point where I was at like maybe I was like under where I started, and then I randomly like spiked a win out of nowhere. It was one of those games where like it's the classic like I thought I was gonna get 8th and then hit the power up, the nobles power up of all things, and then I won.
Things. You and your nobles.
I know. It was crazy. I ended up winning, and I got back to where I was, and then I'm like, I'm just going to play one more before I go to sleep. And almost exactly the same thing happened, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to... Oh, no, the last one, actually, I got a super early Leona and a super early Kale, and I was just like, well, this game's over, and it was. And then I wasn't even expecting it. I got like 45 points or something. And I
nice,
made it into diamond.
Hey.
Yes, so we got there. The memes have been made, the screenshots have been taken. You can't take that away, but I can take my LP away because it's gone now. I'm back down in the dregs of Plat 1. But I guess this can kind of transition a little bit into almost like a strategy kind of discussion here, because one thing I kind of found is I had, especially from last patch, like I had nobles like in my pocket, right? Like it was always there. I mean, it's not as good as it was, but like I know how to play nobles. I know the items I want to build. I know when to like make the hard turn, right? It's like, okay, Draven, boom, I can replace with a Blade Master, blah, blah, blah. I've got that down. So I had that. And what kind of happened in my session yesterday, where I ended up falling a bunch of points, I'm adding almost a completely new wrinkle into my game. And we'll talk about these comps later on in the show, but they're not nobles and they're not Draven comps. They're, sorcerers, shapeshifters, assassins, demons, which I'm sure if you guys have been playing, you know what I'm talking about. They're at the top of the meta right now. We'll talk more in depth about those comps specifically, but I'm like trying to work these in, because Nobles is not at the point where I can just force it, even if it's kind of open. It's not there every time, and I found it's also not as auto win when I get it either, because I had some times where I was like at 17 health and I finally got the kill, and I'm like, oh, I don't get that like super... I don't get that
obscene buff.
Yeah, I don't get the obscene buff. I'm like, oh, I'm still going to lose here. So I found kind of the bottom limit of it as well. So I think I'm kind of like I'm like, here I took a kind of a big step back, but I think that I'm going to be able to take more steps forward than if I would have just ground it out with nobles and stuff like that.
So like changing your technique, right? Like
Yes.
so you gotta be bad for a second before you get good again. I actually had to do that in college. I was a music major and I played the tuba, and I played for all of our musician listeners or piano players. Like when you change your technique or when you change your like placement on your mouth for your mouthpiece, you like go back to like high school or middle school, and you get better quicker, which is the best part. But you have to like kind of like take the loss at first, because you aren't going. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be as good. And so that's kind of like, I think a big reason why I dropped too was I tend to go brawlers all the time, and I was like, okay, this. I need to learn how to do other things, right? And then I think I was just trying to do a bunch of different stuff rather than focusing on like forcing sorcerers or forcing shapeshifters and learning one at a time. I try to learn them all at the same time. And I ended up becoming better at demons than any of the other things, something I wasn't even trying to do.
It's a pretty good thing to be good at right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's easy when you just get to use 4 demons, right? But with Evelyn, with Gunblade, that shit's nuts. But
pretty good.
yeah. But the moral of the story is you got to be okay with being a little bit worse sometimes, because it's going to open up a ton more possibilities.
Yeah, and that is what I'm going to tell myself so that I can sleep tonight, is that I needed to take these losses so that I can get more wins later.
Yeah, I mean, your head did get big there for a second. You were prancing around. You bought gold diamond teeth and chains.
Whoa. My head was always that big. It's just now I can actually flaunt it. Yeah. And I actually have a little bit of something to
peacocking it. Yes, how I would describe it.
Yes. But the peacock was always there on the inside. But again, enough. Well, I'm sure I'll probably talk more about how I got diamond miraculously in miraculous fashion. But let's talk about some news. We've actually got a little piece of news that's personal to us to talk about here. We are going to be casting an event this weekend, the OEL Invitational.
It's going to be fun. We've got some big names going. We got all the C9 boys that are going to be participating. We'll be sharing the mic with some other very good casters, all coming from the Overwatch world, interestingly enough. Who would have thought that would be the transition that these over... It wasn't to like Siege or another FPS or even Fortnite or Apex. It was to a pretty much card game, which is going to be cool. It's going to be. I'm actually going to be really interesting because a couple of the casters haven't casted a slower game before, and I'm intrigued on how differently they're going to feel about casting something like this, right? Because they might love it. They might like do something like this and just be like, "Holy shit, that was amazing!" Right? It could be like a perfect Cinderella type of experience. Hopefully, it is for a lot of people. But I know I'm really, really excited to get on the mic. As our viewers know, I'm a caster as well, so it's going to be good to flex that muscle on a game that's closer to where I started, which is Hearthstone. So me and you are going to get some time on the mic. I've made sure of that. So that should be great. That should be a ton of fun.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be really cool, and I do have the lineup. I do have the lineup here. We've got Crowan, of course, from C9, who we had on the show. We've got Tab ZHD, not 100% familiar with them, but we also have the rest of the C9 boys, as you mentioned, K3, Soju, and Jeshrite. We've got Solus from TSM. We've got Hyped from Team Liquid. We've got General and Ace of Spades from QLash. We've got Cladius, who you may remember from the Heroes Hearth Fight Nights as well. He's a top like 10-ish. Like he's right in that area for NA player on the ladder. And we got Super JJ from Complexity. So really stacked lineup, honestly.
Yeah, hopefully they all show up, right? You never know. But also, I'm taken aback by the fact that you said QLash. And I'm pretty sure it's Clash.
Quit. Oh, yeah, I guess that probably would be Clash, wouldn't it? Hey, edit that part out. Okay. Yeah, no, well, nothing to see here, folks. It's nope. Actually, I'm getting word here. It actually is Q-Lash. No, they Q-Lash they just texted me and they said it's Q-Lash. You're right. Here's your $25.
You just put your hand up to your ear. Yep. Yep. Okay, I'm getting word.
Yeah.
I was correct.
Yeah, it's weird that they have a direct line right into my headset, but
and I wouldn't know how to say it. It's obviously Q-Lash. We're bros. No, but I mean, yeah.
He didn't want to tell you.
Hopefully everyone shows up. The cool thing about this, and I'm actually very intrigued by the setup, is the multi-dayness of it all.
Yeah.
So it's this weekend, the 7th and 8th, and yeah, it goes all day, both days, pretty much. With esports, you gotta assume that things are gonna go longer rather than shorter. So I'm sure we're gonna be doing a lot of TFT throughout the entire weekend. But I mean, that's awesome. That's gonna be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And once again, it's gonna be cool to like finally. We get to talk about all this stuff. You've gotten to cast it once, but like to be able to like go in and do it again and get more reps in, it just feels good, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it feels real good. Make sure to check that out. I'm sure they will be tweeting out all of the details shortly, and of course we will retweet that from Twitter and also post it in Discord. If you're following us in any capacity, you will know when and where it is happening. But speaking of cool things, we've got, I mean, the most important thing, we got to talk about it. We're getting new Little Legends coming in.
It's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, it has to. We've got 3 new Little Legends coming in, and I mean, I got my eye on one of them that I really like, but we've got the I feel so stupid saying these names. We've got the Dango, the Fuwa,
it's better
and
than
the
Q-Lash, let me tell you.
Hey, the Q-Lash will be in. It will be a Little Legend, okay? The Q-Lash will be a Little Legend. Cool. I don't care. I'm gonna reach out to them, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's how you say it. It's Q-Lash." Where's the U, man? Why do you spell? Okay, I'm done. I'm over it. But basically, we've got a little ball cat creature thing, which almost it looks demonic. These
are the Star Guardian ones too. So for those League players out there that like there's a really awesome skin series in League of Legends called the Star Guardian series, and these little animals are a part of some of those skin. I know this first guy, I believe, goes along with one of this. I think Jinx maybe, but they have a little bit of history in the game already.
Okay, that makes much more sense than the just randomly theming them. Although that would also make sense. But, okay, so you're obviously more familiar with these than I am. But we've got the Dango, the little weird cat abomination is what I'm calling it.
It's like Katamari Damacy.
Gesundheit. We've also got a little... Yeah, you probably should be. I'm offended. We've got a little pig guy, the Fuwa. He's a little pig.
He's like a pig elephant.
He's like a pig not Dumbledore, Dumbo.
Yeah, he's actually super cute. Oh, Eeyore, I think would be like a really good example of this. Like Star Guardian Eeyore. This is the one. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's my favorite too.
I feel like he represents what Monday looks like.
Yeah, he looks a little depressed. But you know what? I'll give him a good home. I mean, this is all dependent on their taunts, which really is the determining factor. They need to have how annoying the taunt is really the most important. And then we have the Shisa, which is kind of looks like a little. He's like a little lion guy.
He looks like Apom, the Pokemon.
Yes, he does kind of look like Apom, the Pokemon, mixed with Leomon from Digimon.
Oh man, I loved Digimon, dude. That's another podcast, but I think that it gets a really bad rap. I loved that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, back to Teamfight Tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because they made a little bit of lore for a couple of these to kind of fit into the Star Guardian universe.
Definitely canon lore.
Definitely canon lore. Dango, he's a hungry little fella. And so that's gonna. I think the reason why we're going over this is I think this is how we're gonna get to maybe guess their emotes. I know they're on PTR already, but if we haven't seen it, Dango is the hungriest of the little legends, and then there's Fuwa, longs to someday find the guardian it's destined for. It's so sad. Whenever it feels lonely, it takes refuge in its warmth of its long ears. Aw. And then she submerged into the convergence on a white-hot comet, aims to protect the Star Guardians and all of those. Wait, and all those in its care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there's only one choice, and it's still the Hush Tale. So.
Well, I have my my fully decked out Mistberry Hushtail, so I guess I'm happy there. I'm also, I really do like Piano Cat. It's got such a dumb, it's such a dumb emo. But the Hushtail has multiple emotes you can use. So does the Penguin too. I don't know. I'm still probably going to buy a pack of these, and
I'll buy one and see which one I get, right? And see how I feel afterward. Because if there's going to be anything I spend money on, it's Little Legends. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Okay. Now we've got some actual news that is more relevant to the actual game. I mean,
those Little Legends are the most relevant.
They are very relevant. But right after the 9.17, we got a hotfix because huzzah, the new hero, the new champion was busted. Guardians was seeing way too much play. The Guardian buff got nerfed down from 50 armor to 35 armor. Pantheon's mana went from 100, 150 starting to 100 starting, 150 max to 150 starting, 200 max. So getting that second alt is going to be much harder. His armor went from 100 to 80. His spell damage went from 15, 30, 45% to 10, 20, 30. So it's pretty sizable. And then the stun duration went from 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds to 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds.
I cannot believe it started at 4 seconds. and like, okay, so I remember last week we were like, I don't know, because he's got a little bit of everything. We said, remember, we were like, he'll either be very meh or he's going to be broken, right? And he ended up being the latter. And we should have just seen the stun duration 4, 6, 8 seconds and just been like, come on, guys, come on. I'm a little disappointed in us for
we were wrong. He did not have a little bit of everything. He had a lot of everything.
Yeah, it wasn't a little bit. He had everything.
And he's still good now.
I actually think he feels really good now too. So if I'm losing, it's never because of the Pantheon, and because they nerfed Grievous, like it's not as. I actually like where he's at right now. So I think they were good changes.
Before I know. Community member and listener of the show, Deathblow, or Glenn Coco, as you may know him as in the TFT community, he was, I believe he was working from home that day, and he got a lot of Pantheon pre-nerf gameplay, and he was messaging me on Discord being like, so Pantheon's busted, and just stack Pantheon every time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this when I get home. And there was a hotfix before I got home. Rest in peace.
It's bad when there's a hotfix.
Yeah, real bad. But Pantheon definitely seems like he's in a good spot. He feels powerful. He feels impactful, but he doesn't feel like I guess I have to run this Pantheon. And he's not even. I mean, you still need a reason to play him. I mean, but you can also play him as a solo unit, I guess. But he's not like super. He feels solid as a role player, and I like where he's at. And I like that. I like having the 5-cost units be playable, for sure. They're like the one that you really don't want to be like, ugh, this one's really bad.
Misfortune.
I was just gonna make the same joke, but yeah. Next piece of news here. Is of course in relation to the hour we talked about the new items, the sparring gloves items. They're going to be delayed until 9.19. They were going to be shipped in 9.18, which we talked about last week. They say, and by that I mean Riot Maple Nectar, who's one of the, I believe, I don't know his actual title, but he's working on TFT, game designer, game lead, something. We're really happy with their designs, but we want to take more time to resolve some of the gnarly bugs with them. And maybe with Item drops will still be the item drop changes will still be going out in 9.18. So I believe we're still going to see the other changes that we saw. I guess they're distribution changes or something. I don't remember exactly what they were, but we're going to be seeing the other changes for the patch in 9.18, but not the new items themselves. It's going to be 9.19. Which, if we go and I guess change sections over to the Mort Retort, where we look at the different things that Mortdog or Riot Mort has been tweeting and saying throughout the week, posted the September, I guess, calendar for TFT. And of note here is there's no more B patches. Boop, how do you feel about the removal of B patches?
I think, honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this for any game company, but I actually think the way that they did this was pretty spot on. To be completely honest,
it felt really good.
Yeah,
it does feel weird to say.
You're right, and the reason why I say that is like, okay, cool. Like, I loved the fact that they were changing the game so much, and every week, like, they needed to. Like, that demon meta could have, I think, killed the game a couple patches ago, and they changed it. They changed the nobles. They seem to have gotten the synergies in a nice place right now, and now they get to try something else, which is let these metas breathe a little bit more. That if they let demons go on, that something else might have been able to counter it. And, I'm seeing a ton of different comps in every game.
Yes.
And it seems like the ones that win are different every game too, which is really cool. I mean, it seems to be a little bit more item dependent. The game always has been. But, yeah, I like that they're letting the meta breathe a little bit. It's actually something we talked to Crone about, that he's totally cool with, like, even just one patch a month. But I think he said I like the bi-weekly, just especially since we're still in the beta stage and there's like bugs that need to get handled. But other than that, I think this is a good time to say, hey, let's let the meta breathe a little bit and see what the players can do without our interference, especially a huge patch with like the gloves dropping.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I do think, we see even like on a, I don't want to say day-to-day, but maybe even a day-to-day basis, we're seeing meta updates, we're seeing meta changes, we're seeing things fall in and out of favor. We saw, at the beginning of this week, we saw one comp, which we'll talk about, be like super dominant. It's like a video comes out and it's like, hey, all the Korean players are playing this. It like trickles down through the masses and finally gets to the, the golden plat brethren like ourselves that are just like, oh, well, let's try this. And it's like, oh, there's 3 other people going this already. Okay, well, let's take a look and see what the top challenger players are doing. And it's already changed. Or, if you're in challenger and you're losing to this comp, you need to either play it yourself and get it first, or you need to figure out what beats it. So it's like Dragon's Claw is going like up and down in favor. Like, it's like, oh, Mage or Sorks are really good. Oh, we're going to start building Dragon's Claw. Okay, it's not good anymore. Oh, Assassins are really good. We're going to start building Yordles. Oh, no, now we're going to start building RFC on our Assassins. Okay, well, it's like it's changing a lot, and we're seeing that play out. And I think we're at a point right now in Teamfight Tactics where, yes, they want to get the game in a stable point, which I think they've done a very good job of. They've fixed things that are game breaking, at least, well, with the exception of the AAA thing, but playing the same opponent over and over again. But in terms of like the game being playable, they have that. They also want to push the bounds of like, hey, how long of a stun can we have in the game and have it feel good? 4 seconds is really kind of pushing it. 6 seconds is laughably high. Let's try 2. But they want to be able to push those things. They want to know how far they can do it. They want to see how much attack speed can they allow on the Rage Blade stacking with cast. Like, they want to see where we can break it. They want us to break the game right now, essentially. They want us, they want the degenerate min-maxers of the world that are playing the game right now, like us.
So it's so funny because he actually describes some of the pro players as flat earthers in Mort's Twitch stream. So you were not far off.
Yeah, I'm not going as far to say that, but you
got pretty close. You pretty much said
degenerate min-maxers. There's a difference between that.
tomato.
flat
You know, you
earther.
put some frosting on a cake, it's still gonna taste good, right?
That's
So
true. But yeah, they want us to break the game, and I think with the week long, because the B patches, like, they're obviously not as big as the full patches, but they were still pretty big. Things were going to artificially be forced to fall or not fall because of the
mhm.
B, even just because of the B patches. So now it's like we're giving you a whole 2 weeks to play it out. The players that want to win and want to play the best comps are gonna adapt when their comps are getting countered, and they're gonna be countering the, like, there is that ecosystem that occurs. I mean, there might be different ecosystems for each skill rating and whatnot, but giving it 2 weeks is definitely a big thing, and I think they needed to eventually taper it down, right? Because it was going to be unrealistic for them, and it was going to be, I don't think, as rewarding of an experience if they had, okay, every single week the meta is going to change, we're going to change it, it's not going to be organic at all. It's going to make it unfulfilling because it's like, well, how much time do I really want to put into this week, because it's just going to change next week, I can just wait. And also people who, like, take a break from playing the game or can't play or something. It's like, I saw someone tweet, they were in surgery or something for 3 weeks, and they haven't been able to play, and they come back to the game and they're like, what in the world is going on? And it's like, yeah, I could see that. I take like 2 days off and I'm like, oh man, Evelyn is ruining the game now. It's like, what's going on? I can't even imagine taking 3 weeks off.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, I mean, because like even a week and a half ago, that actually might have been happening, but like Evelyn being good was
Yeah,
just out of
almost
nowhere.
laughable. Yeah.
Yeah, and who stacked items on Evelyn? There are just some units that you don't stack items
Well,
on.
and you think about it, it's like they're 3 weeks before. That's before nobles were good. That was when nobles were laughable. So it's like, oh man, nobles aren't OP anymore. They're like, wait, are we talking about the same things here? Like,
Remember like the week of Broken Karthus too? That was
yeah,
fun.
and
Um,
demons and like all these things like have gone from like Riot. As far as I can tell, has done a good job of like, okay, this thing is really bad or it's almost laughable. Nobles,
mhm.
demons,
Pantheon.
Yordles, and they're like, let's just make it good. Let's see what happens. Oh, we made it too good. Let's tailor it down. Like, they want to find, they're like trying to define the box, right? You need to find how high up does this go? How far to the right does it go? How far to the left does it go? Etc. Um, and to me, I mean, I'm not a professional game designer, or I don't work for a video game company. Boop, you might have more. You probably have more insight into this than I do. But as a player of games, this seems like it feels satisfying as a player the way that they've done it so far.
Well, I mean, especially since they are listening kind of to the base. I mean, there are people who were uproarious about Hextech and they still put it into the game, right? So
Right.
they're not being
Well,
completely
that
led.
just makes me think that they're kind of smart. The people who are making the game.
Hopefully, I mean that's the goal because I used to work at a video game company,
Hmm.
and balance was very very hard. People have opinions about it, right?
Hmm.
Not just the like. Just think about all the opinions you hear on Reddit, right? And then you have a group of 10 people. I don't know how big their team is.
Right.
It might be smaller than that. It could be
Right.
like 5 people. Sit down and say those same opinions,
Right.
right? And they have to be like, okay, so this is what's actually the problem.
Hmm.
It's not this, it's grievous wounds. It's not necessarily
Hmm.
this character, it's this item,
Hmm.
right? Or it's this synergy, not just this character.
Right.
And to be able to talk through that is good. And they seem to
Hmm.
really want this game to succeed, which is the good feeling about it. You mess with something a little too much, it's kind of like cooking when you like move the things
Yes.
around the pan
Yes.
a little too much. Things are going to start messing up, right? Because there are going to be times you're going to need to just let things settle. There's
Hmm.
a good example in League of Legends was actually when a character named Kiana came out. When she first came out, everyone thought she was terrible. I remember seeing the tier list that she was like D tier, and then all the pros picked her up, and then she ended up being broken. They didn't touch her, right?
Hmm.
I think they gave her like one. They maybe gave her like one small buff,
Yeah.
but they and and she was always that good. It just took a little while for
Yep.
people to realize how good she was. And I think that needs to happen a little bit in TFT, where it's like, okay, there are going to be some combos that some people just haven't tried because they're so
Mm-hmm.
locked in to what's been good this week. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're frustrated with this certain comp, the most likely thing that the professionals are going to do is try to counter it. We see in Overwatch, right? It's like,
Yes.
how did we get the metas? Well, people started playing Pharah because that's a counter to May and Reaper, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, but how do you take them off? When you take them off Pharah, then you can play May Reaper again, and you can make those same kinds of adjustments in a game
Mm-hmm.
like TFT, which is exciting. I think that it's time to let it breathe a little bit, unless like something is going to be crazy. Like I hope that they patch the week after they drop gloves, but just because of how different the game is going to be.
Yeah,
But
I believe I don't remember where I saw this, but I think it was from Mortdog. They still have the ability to do essentially the same thing that they do in a B patch. So the difference between a B patch and a full patch was B patches, they could essentially, if I understood this correctly, they could adjust the dials of things. So if they needed to reduce the magic resistance of an item or an ability or a hero or whatever, they could do that. But if they needed to fundamentally change how Guardian Angel works, like they need to make it so that instead it spawns a copy of another hero instead of reviving the one that died. They can't do that in a B patch, but they can do that in a full patch. But if they need to, like, for instance, do the hot fix of like, plus 10 crit chance is actually broken, we can make it plus 5 crit chance with a B patch or a hot fix. That's my understanding of it, at least. So I think that their eyes are going to be very glued to Twitter and Reddit and the game once 9.19 comes out. But a quick recap of the month. It's the same. It's essentially the same cadence that they had before. So the Friday before a full patch, we're gonna get the little infographic that we get from Mortdog that just says, here are the upcoming expected changes, and it's gonna say buff, and it'll show a little picture of 3 heroes. Change, it'll show this, and nerf, it'll show this. That's the little patch preview that's gonna happen the Friday before the patch, which is the 6th here for 9.18. And then on the 10th of September, so the Tuesday, we're gonna get the patch notes, which is expected. And then on Wednesday, the 11th, is when the actual patch hits. And then copy that that cadence. So on the 20th, we're going to get the 9.91 preview. The 24th, we're going to get the notes. And the 25th is 9.19, which is when we're going to be getting our brand spanking new items.
brand spanking new. All the dodge in the world. Yordles will reign supreme.
Yes, and you can make whoever you want a Yordle.
I'm really terrified for the Asol Yordle, man.
Oh.
It's gonna be because like you fit sorcerers in that comp.
Oh, it's already
And
there.
so,
He's usually already in that comp.
Yeah, like unless you and then you like put then maybe you get your 9 people in. You have a Karthus in there with you. It's gonna be brutal. Plus, like make him a Yordle. Plus, give him the item that lets ability damage crit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then that's just that like combo. It's just like the Gnar into the Kennen ult into the Aso ult. Like it's so satisfying to watch when it's playing when you're playing it. But man, not being see, but the next thing that I think of, right, as I do a little bit of theory crafting, is how do I fit a dragon in this, right? Because I would love for him to be able to dodge and have the Dragon's Claw, right? And then he'd be really unkillable. Could you imagine?
I mean, yes, I can, because I see people do that on Gnar already. Just put the Dragon's Claw on Gnar and you've got that already.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I'm saying the Asol as a Yordle.
Yeah.
Like you fit a Pantheon into the comp, and then because you have your 6 Yordles, one of them is Asol, then you fit like Pantheon in somehow. Then if you're feeling extra, if you're rolling in the dough, you can find a Leona too. But make the Guardian buff go on everyone who can already dodge. That's insane.
It is insane, and luckily they're going to be tweaking Wild buff so that the attacks from your team can't be dodged. So there's going to be a little bit of counterplay to that, hopefully, because that's going to be, oh man, that's just gonna be bad.
It's gonna be frustrating. But we'll see. They expect the items to have an obvious impact. I mean, it's 8 new items, completed items that you can do, and some of them have some really cool mechanics, and I'm excited. Assassins, I think, benefit from a lot of these items, which is fun. I think assassins are always good for a game, even though RNG upon RNG can be frustrating. Like, it's super satisfying when someone one-shots a character, so that will always feel good if you're that person again. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully they do kind of do like a follow-up patch, but I like that they're going to be waiting, because I felt like depending on what week it was would depend on how much LP I would gain or lose. So now, like, I can actually get good at a comp and learn it, gain LP with it, and potentially continue on after the patch, or have to adjust later.
Yeah, I almost felt like this patch, which is why I kind of like made the conscientious decision to like take this step back and be like, I'm gonna learn other stuff instead of just jamming nobles, because it doesn't feel as good. It feels like I'm pulling it too thin. It's like it's not.
It can be boring too, playing the same game over and over.
It can be boring, although winning is really not that boring for me, at least. But speaking of not being boring, weak transition. We got an interesting tweet here from Mortdog, and he poses a question here, and I wanted to take a little bit of time for us to talk this through. I haven't put a ton of time into thinking it, so you're going to be, at least for me, hearing stream of consciousness almost. He says, which would you rather have going into stage 2-1? A, 27 gold. B, a BF sword, a recurve bow, I don't know why I said that so weird, and 6 gold. C, a Cho'Gath, Giant's Belt, Lulu, and a Zed. D, Nico's Help, which is that new consumable item which you can give to any hero, and it creates a level 1 copy of that hero. So Nico's Help, a Gangplank, and Evelyn, and 4 gold. E, 2 Cannons, a Negatron Cloak, and 3 gold. Or F, NLR, which I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I thought I would be able to figure it out by now, but I didn't. 2X NLR, Chainmail, Lucian, and Elise.
It is Needlessly Large Rod.
Oh, Needlessly Large Rod, of course.
Needlessly Large Rod. I was thinking that you might be able to get to it using some context clues, but
you think so, but no.
So two nailers.
Chandra Nalars. Shout out to Magic the Gathering. So two rods, a chainmail, a Lucian, and an Elise. Boop, have you thought about this at all? Do you have an answer as to what you would pick and why?
Well, all of them. I mean, how deep do you want to get into this? Do you want to like go over each option, or do you want to?
We got time. We can go over some options.
Okay, so let's just spitball here, right? Let's just go through all of them real quick. 27 gold. So that's
That's my gut pick, by the way.
Okay. Well, there's something about it that's just like sometimes you just got to go with the simple answer, right? Like, let's not get fancy. Like the gold, you might not have the items, but you'll be able to potentially have every one of those characters that is listed. Right. If you roll with that 27 gold.
My other thing is
except the Cho'Gath.
Right. My other thing is in any game, in basically any game where economy is a factor. So like think I'm gonna get a little board game nerdy here. Think like Euro style games, and even
like Ticket to
Ride, or economy game like Dominion. If any of you have played like old like
Dominion's a classic game.
Vanilla Dominion.
I've never played it, but that's like if you want to get into board games, that's definitely one of the ones to try.
Yes, I highly suggest getting Dominion. And use promo code. No, we're not. That's not a thing.
Use promo code G Fuel.
Yeah, use promo code High Noon. No, in that game, so there's in the base version, there's actually a card that's essentially broken. But without going into that, in that game, there's all sorts of different combos you can build. But like just going and buying gold and buying like economy is a really strong and consistent strategy. And when you go into a lot of these different types of economy type games, there's usually like you can buy into more economy, you can buy into something that is strong now and weak later, you can buy into something that's weak now but strong later, or you can buy into the like miraculous contraption where it does nothing, but then if you get all the pieces, it's omnipotent essentially. Those are like archetypes in these types of games, right? And like depending on what type of player you are, and again, we don't need to go into like a 3-hour conversation about the different types of players for games, but people are going to be drawn to different types of things. But my point is, if you're just trying to win and you're not 100% sure and the game hasn't been solved and they're all relatively equal, the gold strategy or the economy strategy is a solid way to be very consistently good at almost all points of the game, and it compounds.
2 things about this I think to work. I think you have to be lose streaking. You probably are, since you don't have items, unless like just your initial packs. I mean, sometimes your initial packs, like yesterday on one of my creep rounds, I got 3 Varuses offered to me. Like on, I think the 3rd creep round. So like sometimes that happens, right? And then you can have the gold, but you're probably lose streaking. You're going into 2-1, so you're at level 4. Right?
Yes, you're.
No,
you
okay,
have
yeah,
to be
yeah,
at level 4. Right?
Yeah, you're passively at level 4 at this point.
You could be higher, but yes, you're at least.
You could be higher, so you technically could level, and have like 8 gold remaining, and then have the ability to roll for a Cho'Gath, Lulu, and Zed.
Yes. So
and
it almost
with no items.
Right.
So basically, it's kind of like, do you want the freedom of choice but no items? So so we've talked about it. Before we make a choice, let's talk about all of them.
Okay.
And then so I like this game. So B, the big freaking sword, recurve bow, and 6 gold. I feel like have this start quite frequently.
Yeah.
And I don't actually like it very often because I like, if I have an item to build, I want to be able to build it. You're going to be holding on to those items anyway, so you might be in the same position as the player in A. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, so again, there's not a lot of caveats.
Using your items, right?
Well, you can use those as singles. Like you can put a recurve bow on
it depends on what you get on your carousel, and because then you can get a completed item that way for your 27 gold too.
Right, and BF sword and recurve bow are probably the most versatile items, and are in. Well, I mean, the recurve bow is. Yeah, no, the recurve bow goes in everything, right? Because you can build a static shiv. A static shiv is going to be good. Rage blade is in a really good spot right now. Phantom dancer, like recurve bow and BF sword are probably the 2 most versatile items in terms of number of things that you can play that are good, and 2 of the most contested items.
It's a diminishing return type of situation, right? Where it's a good item, you need other items to combine with those, right? So you're not going to combine those items outside of maybe your initial item off carousel, and I don't know if maybe one of these items came from that carousel, and then like a tier or something later on. The 6 gold's actually kind of nice because that would allow you to reroll for some 1-cost units and to get them to level 2. All right, okay, cool. Let's talk about
you really close to like just selling off some of your extra chaff to go up to 10 gold, which is nice.
So Cho'Gath, Giant Spell, Lulu Zed. Cho'Gath is one of the best units in the game. At 2-1,
very good.
He could potentially just carry you, and you're gonna put the Giant Spell on Cho'Gath anyway because you're moving towards the Morellos, most likely. And the other ones though is just kind of like Lulu Zed. Lulu has that synergy with Cho'Gath if she can get her ult off. Zed's kind of
Yes.
like an odd one out there.
Yeah,
I think that's on purpose.
my thought is Cho'Gath and Lulu, you've got like the Void Sorks like core there. Both of those are very powerful. A lot of times when you hit the Cho'Gath, you're ready to like you've got the Rek'Sai or
You've got the Kassadin.
you've got the Kassadin, and you've got like that's probably either your third Void or you are upgrading your Void roster to be the one that you want it to be, right? Like you're getting rid of one of the 3 Voids and putting in the Cho'Gath, which is going to be better.
Yeah.
Void's very in vogue right now. Getting that early Cho'Gath can push you towards the Voids and make you more aggressively want to pick up the
Probably
Voids.
help the econ too.
Could help you econ because that's 4 gold. The Zed also, so like the Cho'Gath works with the Lulu and the Cho'Gath works with the Zed because Void Assassins is also big right now because of Kha'Zix and Kassadin. People make the Kassadin an assassin as well. Like the
Kassadin.
It's a real thing. I saw Keen.
Oh, I've done it. It's super fun.
It is fun when you actually get it and build it
Yeah.
correctly and not do it wrong like I did. But hashtag I'm in the middle of plat now for a reason. And then the Giant's Belt is another. Like the Giant's Belt is, I think it only gets built into a certain number of items, but one of those items is Giant's Belt plus Giant's Belt. And the shapeshifter build, the like the either 6 shapeshifters or like the shapeshifter demon, like that like core build. The like ideal build of it uses, I think, at least 3 belts, if not 4. 2 for the Warmogs, 1 for the bow plus belt, whatever that's called, Titanic strength or whatever it's called.
Hydra, yeah.
Titanic Hydra, and 1 for the Morello Nomicon. So, yeah, I mean, when we first started talking about this, I'm like, oh, this is easily the worst pick. And I think we may have convinced me that I like this one a lot more.
Well, I like it too because like the thing is I think the Cho'Gath is going to win you 27 gold eventually, right? Like just like this early on, having a 4-cost unit, like even having a 3-cost unit, like popping in an early cannon.
Yeah, that's true.
Can get you to start like
that's
win
a really
streak,
good point.
right? And so Cho'Gath can get you to econ, not just like because he's 4 gold, but also like win you a bunch of games in a row.
That's true.
Which I think will make up the gold that you're probably re-rolling with because you don't have any gold in this scenario. Okay, let's talk about the other one. This is actually very interesting to me. So Nico's Help, Gangplank, Evelyn, and 4 gold. So I think Gangplank and Evelyn and Kennen would be the third one are so strong as level 2 units, but not that great as level 1 units. Right? I think Evelyn can carry herself through, like if you get her early enough, she can help you through until like first carousel. But afterward, she'll start falling off. It helps that she's a demon and can get her ult off a little faster. Gangplank, when he's level 2, I mean, we've all been screwed by Gangplank getting his ult off. So what I think is really cool about Nico's Help is it'll you'd be able to copy Evelyn or Gangplank and then get hopefully another copy of them to find a super early level 2 Evelyn or Gangplank, which is going to be just as good as a super early Cho'Gath.
Yeah, a level 2. I mean, it's going to be better, right? Like a level 2. I mean, level 2 Evelyn. That's an end game unit right there.
Yeah, you get the right items on her, but you don't have items in this situation. But I think it's worth it to rush the Evelyn at this point.
Yeah. Man, you see, it's another tough one. I think if you asked me this last patch, I'd say yes, please, because Gangplank was very pivotal to a lot of builds. I think he's fallen out of favor a little bit, and maybe this is just me purposely like staying away from that like Blade Master gunslinger type.
Man, I hate playing that comp, dude.
I love playing it, but
I'm so bad at it. If I'm gonna get 8th, it's with that comp. But continue.
It's the Gangplank with the Gangplank one. is not good, and the gangplank with no items is also not that great. It's a good like centerpiece because it's like, oh, if I'm gonna go 3 blade masters, I got the third blade. I got a decent third blade master. I can also start picking up. You can put a lot of different types of items. If you had or if you got like rods or something, like you can put your rods on your rod items on the gangplank where you might not want them on your Draven or your Jinx or whatever. Maybe you want them on Jinx, but like you can put a lot of those items that aren't going to go on Draven onto gangplank. Gangplank can conversely hold your Draven items, and you can get rid of him later if you wanted to. Evelyn on her own is a endgame unit, but again, not really with no items, and also definitely not level 1. The Nico's help is interesting because getting level 2 of either of those is very good, but I just don't know if I feel like the Cho'Gath is worth more to a comp than either of these, even 2 of either of them.
But like this is saying at the start of 2-1. This is it's not like we have to use everything in this equation, right? So the Nico's help you can hold on to until way later.
Right.
And
that's true.
I think it
very true.
Opens up more of a possibility to get a level 2 5 cost unit a little later, or you can rush the level 2 Evelyn or something. You could sell the gangplank, get it up to 7 gold, and YOLO roll for an Evelyn, graph it, and then get your level 2 right there.
You could.
All right,
I think those are the types of plays that get me like in 6th or 8th place as well.
All right, the next one is 2 cannons, Negatron cloak, and 3 gold. Okay. So I actually think this one is a hard no for me.
Okay.
Unless someone who is better at describing this. I mean, like, having 2 cannons is nice because it's another character that used to fit into, like, he used to be the best character in the game.
Yes.
Remember when his ult did 200 damage a second?
Sure do.
And then they nerfed it to 150, but and elementals just aren't that great right now, so.
That is true. But they are still decent. Also,
they're decent.
Having elementals early is quite good.
But you only have 1 elemental here, it's just the 2 cannons, right? But a level 2 cannon can carry a team.
Yeah, that's true. A level 2 cannon can carry a team. A level 1 cannon can honestly do work at stage 2-1 as well. With no items is not the greatest. The Negatron cloak is not really leading me towards anything. It's just kind of a nice add, I guess, like, with Dragon's Claw being so prevalent and needed in a lot of places, like the cannon, it being with the cannon is not of any particular synergy in my mind, but it's good. And then obviously 3 gold is 3 gold. It's not a hard no for me because, like, I'm assuming in these scenarios we have essentially random other units, or I guess not random other units, a random start of units where, like, we're obviously not just grabbing random units. We're having a build or a start in mind, and we're picking units where we have a random start of units, 2 of which are cannons in this case. I'm assuming that's kind of how this plays out. Obviously, you're not going to be in the position where you just have 27 gold and no units. I mean, you could be.
I mean, like, you could if you wanted to. But I think Kennen is, I think, one of the most versatile characters in the game. His synergies just aren't super popular right now, but
Yordle is gaining favor right now.
Shut up.
No, it really is because of Assassins.
I know. I don't want to hear it. Though. Okay. I don't want to hear it because I hate Yordle so
that's fair.
much. But yeah, and early on, Kennen does have the ability, like we said, to carry, right? The way his kit works, just like our friend in chat saying, like, since there's going to be less people on the board, the ult's going to find a lot more real estate in general. He's going to survive longer because there's not as much damage this early. And actually, something I was thinking about today that I was going to talk about in the TFT lab portion, but we can go ahead and talk about it now, is there's got to be like a team comp, kind of like cross pike back in the day, where you put the two pikes in the corner, like where it's better to have two of a certain unit rather than trying to force a synergy.
Yes,
I think that's like an area of exploration that hasn't been completely explored just yet.
I agree.
Because the reason why I thought about this is I had two level 2 veins, and if they're attacking the same person, they don't individually have their own silver bolts. They stack on each other's.
Wait, say that again?
So if two veins are attacking the same person, or two Tristanas, they actually stack their stuff together. So if the other Tristana hits someone who has the bomb on them, it'll increase the charge by 1. And so, like with Vayne, if one Vayne attacks and then the second Vayne attacks the same person, it'll have 2 silver bolt charges.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and so like kind of like, hey, put 2 cannons on the field, right? Even at level 1, bolts. And you get 2 bolts that cover the entire screen, right? And strong. So that's something that I'm too lazy to actually theory craft myself. But cross pike was like the only thing that I saw that really utilized that. Like, hey, let me just put 2 of these level 2 units in, like on purpose, not because I don't have a level 3, right? But because of the fact that I want 2 of this, right? Like it's like when people have 2 Dravens in or 2 Cho'Gaths because they can, rather than doing it because that's what's available right now. I wonder if people like kind of build around that, what would happen.
Yeah, Kennen is definitely one of those units. I've done that before, although again, it's usually more like that. I have my level 2 Kennen, and then I just have another level, either another level 2 or another level 1 Kennen that I just throw in. And it's good, man. Like, especially at this point, like imagine like your lineup is 2 Kennens, Lulu, and any other Yordle.
Tristana, right? You probably have a Tristana at this point.
I mean, Vygar would be fine. Poppy is probably the best thing that you could have there. Actually, can you have? Yeah, you can have tier 3s. You can have 3 stars at, or not 3 stars, 3 costs at that point. Like that unit or that comp is winning you a lot. Is getting you very far at this point in the game, right?
Yeah.
I like this one, actually.
Yeah. Well, you can't like all of them, Blev. Okay.
I can. But
you have to choose your favorite child.
It's not
the last one is 2 large rods.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I love having large rods. Damn it.
No comment, no comment, no comment, no comment, no comment.
I walked right into that one, man.
You walked right into the large rods.
Yeah.
No
just
comment, no comment, no comment.
2 large rods, name of my college dorm. Anyway.
Chainmail. That's gonna be the new running gag. We're gonna see. This is why you guys should show up to game night, is because we have much more inappropriate things to say.
It's more adult. Night. You know, I used to be a preschool teacher as well. I used to be a teacher, so I think because I could not be that person for so long in a day, I became this person where I had to be. Okay, 2 large rods, Chainmail, Lucian, and Elise.
So 2 large rods, a chainmail, Lucian, and 1 gold. Got it.
I love large rods. But I'm just gonna lean into it. I love having large rods. I love it when they're on, when they're on my screen, and to know that I have the option to play around with these large rods a little bit later on in the game. I think that it's really important to be versatile with the large rods that are presented to you.
Yes.
But make sure you do have some chainmail to maybe wrap around them.
No, don't do that. It's not that good anymore.
To keep them protected. It's not that good anymore.
Locket is not that great.
For this metaphor, we can make it good. It could be hard to pull off.
You're saying that the large rod... Okay, now...
Yeah.
How many more can we fit in here? Oh, God, that was 1. I can't stop.
And so, yeah, you bring the large rods in, you slap them on, to whoever you want, and you just let them go, right? It's all about the freedom of expression that 2 large rods can really provide you. And that's why this one's my favorite. It has nothing to do with the actual stats. It's the story we just told, and it's a really good way to not actually make a decision. But large rods they're probably outside of like the tier 1 items, like if you have a large rod at the beginning, you're not upset about that.
That's true.
Especially since Morello's is always going to be good.
Yes.
Rabadon's late game is really good.
Yes.
What else?
Rage Blade.
People love building Rage Blade, which I think is the biggest debate item in the whole game.
I think it probably is too, but it's just so fun.
It is super fun. I think it's also the most fun item in the entire game outside the spatula items. And you get to, if you pick up a spatula somehow, you can potentially make someone a sorcerer, and you can turn your Lucian or 1 gold into something else. And so that's nice. But okay, we've talked about it. What is your choice, Blev? Which one are you going for? Do you want me to go first? I've got my choice.
Go first. If you have your choice, go first.
Because I'm a Brawlers player, and strictly because I know how good an early Cho'Gath can be, I'm actually going to go with the Cho'Gath Giant Spell, Lulu and Zed.
That is a really strong one. So I think if I'm in... Okay, I'm just going to try to put myself in this position. We're making the assumption of this... the control here is you have a random start of other units. And I guess these are the items / units that you get from the item drops. I'm guessing that's what it is. What it is, because you can get units in drops in the upcoming patch. I'm assuming that's what it is. So if I'm starting one of my normal starts, I probably have a couple of knights, or I have like the start of the shapeshifter build. I'm on the Proub with my Nidalee. I think
I'm on the Prowl with my Nidalee.
I'm
on the Prowl with my 2 large rods.
Hold on. You're gonna have your mind blown, because I had my mind blown. This is a sidebar, by the way. You're gonna have your mind blown because I had my mind blown when I was playing with Deathblow and Clibbers yesterday. She says on the Proub with a B. Like, listen the next time you buy Nidalee.
On the Prowl.
Because I thought they were trolling me. And then I picked her, and she's like, on the Prowl. And I'm like, what? Why does she say it? It blew my mind. So back to the conversation. I'm stalling for time here. I think... okay, so it's not D. It's not the Nico's Help Gangplank Evelyn. I could be wrong. I could be undervaluing Nico's help.
I think you're undervaluing Nico's help late game, for sure.
We can have a discussion about this at a different time.
We'll talk about Nico's help on the next podcast, I'm sure.
I'm getting rid of it. For the sake of interesting, I'm getting rid of A as well. My gut says that I wanted 27 gold, and I think I still probably do, but I'm not picking it because it's the most boring answer. I want I'm picking F here. I'm picking the 2 rods, the chainmail, Lucian, and Elise. And here's why. I love large rod.
You got to finish, man.
I'm sorry.
The rule of comedy is you got to commit, right?
That's true. You got to commit. You know what? If I pick up large rods, I need to finish. So I love large rods, and now I finished. Oh, God, this is never going to end, is it? Large rod builds into all the items that we talked about. It's very versatile. I guess it's slightly less versatile than maybe the recurve bow and the BF sword, but it builds into things that are just as good. The items that we talked about. The chainmail also is part of one of the items that you want in almost every comp, which is Guardian Angel. So we've got that. Lucian is a 2-cost unit that you can get to tier 2 relatively easily, especially since you already have one, and combining and putting a large rod item on him, like a Luden's Echo or a Luden's Echo is the one I'm thinking of. Luden's Echo on him is going to get you very far in the early game, and you can transition off of it. So I like that a lot. Lucian is one of those units that is just super, super good early, super, super good mid game.
Level 1 Lucian holds
your items.
Even after the nerf, level 1 Lucian's still super solid.
Still super, super solid. almost no matter what you get off of your carousel, you're going to be in a really good spot. You can pick up, I mean, you could pick up a Negatron cloak and make static spark. What is that called? Ionic spark. I'm going to have all these items written down and memorized.
Q-Lash.
It's going to be Q-Lash. I am going to have a notebook for this weekend, so don't worry, guys. I'm going to be prepared. I don't remember the actual names of the items. You can do that. You can start stacking those. You can get the Ludens. You can build Rageblade and put it on Lucian. You can get the sword and get a Guardian Angel and put it on whoever. I like it. It puts you in a very strong position. I do agree with you that C also puts you in a very strong position, and I'm close there. But I think for my official choice, I'm picking F.
All right.
So that was that. Guys, let us know what you guys want. I don't know. I haven't checked. I don't know if Mort is going to have any sort of follow-up or redux of it. But I'm certainly interested to hear what his opinions are on that as well. Okay, let's move on here. And where are we on time? Ooh, we spent a little bit of time on that one. But it was worth it.
Funny. I think in every podcast, if I was going to do like a satire podcast, that would have to be in it, right? Someone at some point has to check the time and go, "Oh, we're a little ahead. We talked about that a little too long."
I wouldn't
is
say
any
too
podcast
long.
really running in on time? I don't know if that's ever happened.
No, we could have the podcast as long as we want. I'm just trying to keep it at a reasonable amount of time.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. We gotta just go ahead and move things along.
What's that? Oh, I'm getting word. Oh, we got an extension for this episode. I got word that we got an extension for this episode.
You put your finger for our listeners. He put his finger to his ear.
It's
so you know.
Yes.
So you know it's real.
What's that? Oh, the producers have chimed in and said that we have extra time on this podcast.
Great.
Okay. One thing that I wanted to mention, the last thing I guess from the Mort retort here is it was mentioned on Mort actually went on Riot employee Blaustoice's Blaustoice, I don't know, Q-Lash's stream, and answered a bunch of questions. If you go on Reddit, you can find the redux there. But one thing that I personally asked him in the chat was if they're working on spectate mode, and he said, and I quote, "It is a very high priority." So, yeah, that's good. Spectate mode is huge, especially for casting.
Can't make the sport without a spectate mode.
I mean, you can. It just won't be a widely made. It will be much harder.
Okay. You can make anything an esport. I mean, Lawbreakers was an esport for a time. I actually really liked that game. Hashtag that's a secret. I don't know. It's funny because there are games in the world where you have to go into it and be like, hey, I kind of like this. I don't know why. I know it's bad, but I like it. Just kind of like bad movies like National Treasure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool that Mort is so open to the community.
Yes.
Usually, there's always one or two per game that is, but Mort seems to be hyper responsive.
Yeah.
He tends to answer back a lot of people, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I don't know him personally, so I'm just telling you, make it. But in the end, it's good that we get so much information. He's being very transparent about this, and I think that's why the community gets frustrated, but but we also have the information, right? What we're frustrated about is why they're not doing something for a problem that they've identified, right? They'll be like, we know this is a problem, and then not do anything about it, right? But I'd rather it be that way than to have them be like, we're working on issues dealing with balance, and that's the information that we have. Or we're going to nerf so-and-so and not tell us why.
Right.
And so I think that's the best part
what the
about
nerfs are. You just have to figure them out. Hashtag Nintendo. But huge. He's even responded to some of the tweets that I've sent him. And
hashtag humble brag.
Hashtag not humble even a little bit brag. Let's move on here and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's at the top of the meta right now. So this is a post from the competitive TFT subreddit, which I highly suggest you go ahead and do yourself the favor of subscribing to. I actually just stumbled upon it relatively recently. I was in the normal Teamfight Tactics subreddit. The competitive TFT one has just been a gold mine of guides, like actual high level discussion, posting of comps that people are using. It's been really, really great and like really succinct. It's at that like sweet spot that I found in subreddits where it's like there's enough people where there's actually activity in it, but there's not so many people that there's people posting like stupid meme stuff every other post. Which like it's fine. There's a time and place for the meme pictures and whatnot, but like when it's like every other post is a SpongeBob meme of like someone getting all gold in their first opening rounds, it's like just keep those to yourself, please. I see the meme. I get the joke. I don't need to hear it again. And actually, I'm going to be adding a competitive TFT Reddit channel in the Discord that will post all of the posts from the competitive TFT subreddit there. So if you don't want to actually go to Reddit, you can just go to discord.me/LegendsPodcast and we'll be there. So right here, this is a redux of the 9.17, which is the current patch that we're on. Korean meta. That's what it was called, at least. So these are some top comps that are seen in the Korean scene. This top one, what they call S tier, is a Dragon, Shapeshifter, Guardian, Sorcerer build. And just as a caveat for these builds, there's obviously going to be some overlap, delineation. You can replace units with certain things, but these are, I guess, the ideal builds, the paradigm that you should be building towards and that you want. So the S tier build here is Nidalee, Kassadin, Shyvana, Gnar, Leona, Asol or Aurelion Sol, Karthus, and Pantheon.
With your Shyvana as the carry, you got your Dragon's Claw on the Gnar and the Morellos on one of my favorite items. I like anti-healing for some reason. I love red buff.
Yep.
Not if it was bad, I would still be building it because of my love for it, right?
Yes.
And this is a comp that you see win, I think, very frequently. It's hard to. I mean, it's mostly high cost units outside of your Kassadin and your Nidalee. Everything else is 3 and above, and you really want your Shyvana to be a rank 3 Shyvana. If you're really carry, if you really want her to carry, like that's how you do it. Same thing with like Rengar is another one that I think of. Yes. You really want that rank 3 or that gold unit. But there's actually some other ones down here that I think are really interesting, particularly because we know shapeshifters are good right now, so we can kind of like.
Yeah, there's a 6 shapeshifter build as well, which you can kind of put the pieces
this next
together
one
there.
For you Ranger players out there, 4 Rangers, 4 Knights. Knights is really cool because you can just have 4 of them and try to put 4 other things in there. I actually won a game the other day with Knights Brawlers. The Meaty Boys, because since the Knights. Yeah, since the Knight synergy applies to everybody, you don't necessarily need cross synergy. Like, you don't need your Knights to also be something else. Right? So you could just have the 4 Knights and 4 of something else. And there's 2 things that go with that 4. It's Rangers, or as this one says, Ragnars. Yeah, I know. I don't know why it's so funny. Ragnar is just what I'm calling it now.
4 Ragnar, yes.
Yep. And 4 Knights, because it helps Rangers overcome one of their deepest issues, which is
squishy.
Yeah, they're squishy, right? And so you give them some armor, they're still going to get wrecked by sorcerers with this comp. But if you're scouting out your other people and you don't really see a sorcerer, maybe there's only one, and you're just fingers crossed they're going to die before you do. If you're a Rangers player, this is, I think, a really fun way to do it. And then the last one that's like really interesting is the reroll assassin for everyone who's like me that love hitting that reroll button.
Yeah, this one specifically is the one where you stack the Kassadin. So it's got the RFC, a Dragon's Claw, and the assassin item, the likes of which I would never be able to guess the name of that off the top of my head. Is it Yomu's? Is that Yomu's Ghostblade?
I always say Yomu's.
Yamoos. Okay,
But
so I guess I did.
yeah, I don't know though.
Oh, I don't
Keith,
know either. That might
that's
be
one of
it.
those things that I feel like it's like Buttigieg or Buttigieg. Every time I hear it, it sounds a little different. So I'm not 100%. And every time someone tries to say it, there's just like a slight bit of hesitation,
But
right? It's like
is that even the name of the item that I'm
yeah,
talking about?
Yomu's. It's YOU. I think it's
But like
YOUM.
is Yomu's the assassin item?
Yes, because
Okay.
Blade of the Ruined King is
Yes,
the
the
Blade
Blade
Master
Master.
one.
Okay, cool. So I guess I did guess it. You're putting that on Caston, and then you've got your full. Actually, this has the full suite of voids. It's got a couple of brawlers, a couple of additional brawlers in addition to your two void brawlers, and an additional assassin here. So yeah, this is. I mean, each one of these comps has a variety of ways to build it. Right, the Ranger comp, I think from what I've heard just from some streamers and some other posts, I think the ideal build for Rangers is actually 2 Rangers most of the time over the 4 Rangers. It gives you a little more versatility. You can also have, I mean, you can still have 4 Knights. You can have 2 Rangers, 2 Knights, and like 2 Guardians, and like some other stuff to like make it good. The I mean, the biggest thing here for Rangers, at least, is the Ash and the Sejuani, I think. And then,
Well, you know, I think it's actually getting that Phantom buff. To be completely honest,
well, yeah, that's the other one too. Is the Kindred,
yeah,
obviously, and
it's the in the because you run Mordekaiser in this lineup,
right.
which is something that a lot of people try to avoid. He has been meme worthy ever since the release
Yes.
of this game, right? And so it's just cool to see a character like Mordekaiser find his space along
Mm-hmm.
with these Rangers. And I like the Rangers comp because it's got an even distribution, right? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 cost unit,
Yep.
right? It's something that if you find an early Ash or if you have the items, like definitely try it out. But don't try it out if you don't have the items. Is what I would
Yes.
highly recommend. Like you
Yep.
could run this comp and get maybe fourth or third, fifth without the items.
Yep.
This you only are going to win with this comp with the correct items.
Yes. This comp, I agree entirely. You need to kind of high roll the items that you're getting. Maybe that includes open forting early to get the items that you want, but you can't, like, you really don't want to be in this build if your start is like 3 rods or a bunch of rods and a bunch of belts, right? Like, looking at it, it's like this build wants exactly 1 belt. I guess it could actually use 2 rods, depending. Nope, not going there. But you need you need your bows, you need your swords. This one calls for runins, but obviously you don't need that. But yeah, you need to kind of high roll your items. The shapeshifter build, I think, is a little bit less dependent on specific items. I think, as we talked about last week, Gnar, he can really just throw anything on Gnar and he's going to be fine.
Seriously, outside of Seraph's Embrace, that is the one item you really don't. I mean, but you could if you want him to.
Yeah, he levels. I mean,
Ult,
it's
but
worse than a lot of items, but
but you
isn't
you can
useless.
still make it work on Gnar.
Yeah.
You can literally do anything you want on that character.
But you need to actually get the Gnar, which is easier said than done these days, with how many builds
True.
are revolving around him. But yeah, I mean, is there any other builds off the top of your head that have really been, jumped out to you that you've been seeing or using particularly?
No, I think these are the ones. I've been playing a lot of Rangers. I just like
Mhm.
seeing Ash attack fast. It's
Yes.
super satisfying.
It is
It's like
very
ASMR for
satisfying.
my eyes.
Yep. Freezing.
R
over
slash
and over
oddly satisfying. Great subreddit,
Yep.
by the way. There's just something about it, and then seeing and then the Kindred ult and seeing how that.
Mhm.
I think it's like one of the coolest ways
love
and most
Kindred.
intricate synergies that all go together. It's like
Yep.
you need the Kindred ult because you need the Rangers to do and be pushing out more damage. They would
Mhm.
die otherwise. And
Yep.
you have the night buff or you have something else to circumnavigate other deficiencies of this team comp. And I think that's a team comp that really shows itself in that way. It's really, really cool. I love Ash. I play a lot of Ash in regular League of Legends. I'm an 80 carry main myself, so Ash and Tristana are two of my favorite League of Legends character. So to find one that I can actually use like Rangers, because I'm a terrible Yordle and Gunslinger player for some reason. It's nice.
Yeah, you can also like it has a lot of different like synergies that fall together, but you can also build it like in steps too. Like you start with maybe 2 Rangers and 2 Knights, and then you can go 4 Rangers, 2 Knights, 2 Rangers. Like you can build it in different steps, and you can build it in different directions too. It's very very good here. And I really like Sejuani and Kindred may be like my all-time like most used units like since the beginning. Like I think the first build I ever got wins with was Knights Rangers, like way before, like way long ago. But yeah, that is the meta discussion here. We will wrap up with a couple of posts of some wins that we got in the community. But was there anything else here? Anything else this week, Boop, that you wanted to bring up or talk about before we get going here?
Yeah, I would love to get into the nitty gritty when we have shows like this on some things like what is it? Do you think that is keeping us back from reaching our next rank, like us personally, right?
Okay,
we could talk.
We can
like
talk
personally about like one thing that we want to change for the week. Try to change it through the week and see if our LP increases. Like we can, instead of just like talking about our week, we could talk about a specific thing that we tried to adjust.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna try to econ better this week. It's gonna be my thing because I love spending money. So I'm gonna try to do the very opposite and keep track of our success that way. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try saving my money a little bit more instead of re-rolling so much because that only works when it works. You know what I mean?
Yes, so, I agree.
And it sucks because when it does work, you're like, oh, confirmation that this works, right? Let alone it's like the 1 out of 4 times.
Don't do results-oriented thinking, man. It's not good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on. What about you, Blev? What are you going to be working on? One thing.
I actually was specifically thinking about this, like not even for the show, but I was thinking about it before. I was very good, or at least very consistent with econing. I would always go up to 50 and only spend only take the cream right off the top and let it keep going, boiling back up. I have been, and part of where my fall is playing around with the notion of not starting off super strong and not starting off trying to get a huge win streak, and actually trying to I don't know what the exact definition of an open fort is. Like, am I trying to lose everything? Am I not playing? But, like, I've been trying to play around with my early life total more and try to either not necessarily purposely lose, though I have tried to do that with, like, the reroll assassins build and whatnot where I need a spatula, but more keep my options open without investing into early levels to try to win. So I want to... What I need to specifically improve about that is I need to be able to get to that point where I've got the items I need, and then I can get back up to that gold and rebuild my economy, but then appropriately spending that for the rest of the game, not just in the next couple of turns. Which I
got 50 gold, reroll.
Well, my mindset was like, okay, I've got to the point. I've been losing. Let's re-roll and let's get super strong. And then I spend 50 gold and I only get a little bit more strong, and then I have no gold. So figuring out like how much gold I need to spend and how much stronger I need to spend, that's what I'm going to be. It's a little bit of an abstract concept, I guess, but that's what I'm going to be working on this week.
So yeah, and what goes into that too is kind of like knowing when to lose and when it's okay to lose. Right? Like identifying like, okay, I'm going to lose these next 3 rounds, but it's going to be okay because I have this plan. That's like that kind of thinking ahead. I think too presently. But we'll see how we do. So I'm definitely going to try to make a little bit more. I'm going to try my hand at some, I have never tried to open fort, so that's a really good way to make some money and just see the interaction between that and try to come back from there. But yeah, just trying to get to 50 gold more frequently is something that I'm really going to be trying to do. So we'll hold our hands through it.
Yeah, we'll check back in with you guys next week as to how we did or didn't do. When both of us are at the bottom of golds, you'll know exactly how well we did in this. But let's round out the show here with some builds from people in our community, again, over discord.me/Little Legends Podcast. We got what I believe is a new submission from Shady Nail, so thank you again for this. We've got what looks like a shapeshifter, dragons. There's some knights here, guardians. Yeah, this is almost exactly the same build as one of these on here. It's got a Shyvana,
the
Pantheon.
The crazy thing about this is that he actually beat that build is so good.
Oh,
he
God.
beat a guy with 4
I see that.
3-cost units, and it's not like
Not
5
3-cost.
3-cost units.
Not 3-cost,
It's not like
3-starred units.
Yeah, 3-starred unit. So he's got a 3-star Vi, Blitzcrank, Rek'Sai, Casted, and Warwick, and that dude lost.
Yeah.
That's got to be brutal. But good job,
wow.
Shady Nail. That's a tough team comp. It also has a Poppy in it, which I think is my choice. Who's going to be the next Evelyn? I think she is one of our hidden OPs in this game, and if they buff her like at all, then it'll be a problem. But I think she's she's one of my favorite units.
Super versatile, super good. A fine, like, I mean, she's never going to be a solo unit because you just pick up another knight and she's fine. She's one of those ones that I'm like, I'm always happy to have her at almost any point in the game. And then you can always replace her with Kale later if you need to. We got Osto here, who has posted a bevy of them, but I'm gonna go with this one. We've got a 3-star Aatrox, a 3-star Shiv. We've got Gnar 2-star, which is super rare these days. We've got a Morgana, a Varus, and a Swain here. So 4 demons. Is that 6 demons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm betting here. I think he said, I think he made Demon Gnar as well. So that's 6 demons.
Terrifying.
Very terrifying here. I'm sorry if I miss people. We'll do a couple more here. We got Young Ice Cube here. Young Ice Cube got some Rangers. That's just straight up. That's Rangers and Knights right there. Was that 4 Rangers, 4 Knights? Is that 2, 4, 6? Yeah, 4 Rangers, 4 Knights. Standard. First place. Boom. Oh, and this was the promotion up to Plat 1. So
congratulations.
So get the claps in chat for Young Ice Cube here. And last one we'll go over here. This one's Sphinx, who shout outs to Sphinx for playing in the game night last week for the first time. Was a fun game night. Me and him actually had an epic battle. We were the last 2 in the game.
It confirmed my hatred for Yordles, let me tell you.
I'll give the viewers at home one guess at who the filthy Yordles player was, who was at like 20 HP versus the 80 plus and came back and won.
So stupid.
I'll give you guys one guess. Spoiler alert, it wasn't Sphinx. But Sphinx here actually did the good old Blade Master Gunslingers here. Jinx, 3-star Trist, which he said was Blade Mastered. We've got our Misfortune Jinx. Sejuani, another one of my favorite units. Gangplank, Kennen, Poppy, Vi, and Yasuo! I don't know why I say it like that, but I always do. Every time I see him, I say it like that. Yasuo! So yes, guys, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for posting your comps. Thanks, everyone, for being in the Discord and just being awesome. I checked our downloads earlier today, and we hit 1337. I just randomly looked at it, and it was at 1337. So, you know what? I hope we don't get any more downloads. No, I'm kidding. We want more downloads. We want all of you guys to keep listening and let us know how we're doing. But that is going to be it for this episode. Boop, any last parting words?
I'm excited to hopefully join you guys in the upper echelons of Plat once more. I've been there before. I can make it happen again. So the shout out is for myself and my confidence because I need it to grind a little bit harder. But yeah, the other thing is make sure to tune in on Saturday and Sunday for Mega Esports League. I'm sure we'll post on our social media exactly what that's going to be. We're going to be taking it super serial, I think. So we want to be able to show the community that, hey, this game can be casted, and these are semi-professional, professional casters going at this, and it should be a really good event. And I'm really excited for it to go down this weekend. And so definitely check that out. Look for it on social media. This should be out before maybe that Saturday. But if not, then you'll hear about how it went on the next podcast.
Yes, you absolutely will. Going to be a great event. But that is going to be it. Thank you, everyone who listened in live on Twitch, twitch.tv/the Blevins. Remember, it is September, guys. And if you sub to the podcast on Twitch, you do get a nice, sweet purple nameplate in Discord, which is the place to be. The Discord is our home. It's where all the links are, all of the stuff that we talk about. The community lives on the Discord. Definitely be there. But thank you, everyone, for listening. Follow on all the stuff. You guys have heard it enough. But for Boop, I am the Blevins. We will see you guys next week when we talk about 9.18. Let's go!